I have now joining me on the phone line BJP's Mr. Nalin Kohli. Mr. Kohli, why do you think this wealth distribution survey or the mention of any revolutionary policy is problematic? Because the Congress party says that only a few appear to have the wealth. It must go to all. What do you think is the issue with it that the BJP is harping on? Mr. Kohli, go ahead.
Let me explain this carefully for your viewers.
Yes.
The concept of taking money from one person and distributing to others, which is taking from the rich, giving it away to the poor, rather snatching it from the rich, giving away to the poor, is a concept that comes under communist and leftist and Marxist thinking. That has been rejected globally, even by the countries which were running on Marxist principles. They also are now back to the market economy. Mr. Rahul Gandhi comes up and says, I will take the money or do a survey, see what are your assets, what is your money in your banks, we will distribute it to the poor. Now, nobody is saying that the poor should not be helped, which is what Prime Minister Modi's government does. Create schemes to ensure that the poor get an equal opportunity of resources in terms of, schemes for housing, for toilets, for gas connections, for farmers, for youth, giving them interest-free loans. You are giving them assistance to be able to come out of the poverty trap, and 260 million people, according to global estimates, have come out of this trap. Congress spoke about it, Modi's government does it. Now, therefore, when the Congress comes up with this, you note Mr. Rahul Gandhi every time comes up with a statement, there's a battery of Congress people trying to interpret and re-speak about it. Now Mr. Sam Pitroda says this is about monopoly. Where is the word monopoly in their manifesto? Not one word of monopoly. He talks clearly of taking the money and handing it over. So let's ask the blunt question. An anchor like you, a reporter in your channel, a lawyer like me, an engineer, a doctor, somebody an MBA, works for 30 years, slogs, pays taxes, saves year by year, collects money in the old age like an old person, invests in a fixed deposit, earns interest to run their livelihood. Who is Mr. Rahul Gandhi to come up and say that all this money should be taken away from you and you should become poor in your last part of your life?
Interesting. No, I appreciate that's what you're saying, because I understand the lack of clarity by Congress leaders themselves has led to a lot of fear. There are a lot of fear of people who are asking me, what does this really mean? And perhaps the Congress leaders really need to bring some clarity to it. But my second point too is when Priyanka Gandhi Vadra said, we've been in power or the Congress party, as she says, has been in power for 50 years, whose Mangal Sutra or gold was snatched, and that her mother's Mangal Sutra was sacrificed, her grandmother gave away gold. She's saying that this is deliberately the BJP twisting words, putting it out of context. Do you think that's what is happening? Is the BJP quoting out of context to what Congress is saying?
Respectfully, Ms. Priyanka Vadra Gandhi should go and study history and look at the policies of her grandmother and what she did in that time. The nationalization of banks was taken away from private parties in the 1970s in the name that bank accounts for the poor would be made. Not one bank account was opened. It's Prime Minister Modi's government that opened 5 crore plus bank accounts for the poorest of the poor. Why couldn't you do it from the 1970s till the time Prime Minister Modi came in 2014? Number two, the Gold Act came, which took away the gold from people's houses. People who 99% of their gold they had to give away, people have given it. And if my memory serves me well, senior BJP people also under that gave that away. Because the act came of that time to say you can't keep gold beyond a certain thing, it was under wealth tax. Number three, the taxation rate in this country was 90% plus, in which the whole black money generation is the cause of them. So you can't turn around today without studying history, without knowledge, make a wild allegation on the BJP, which asks a valid question to say that somebody who's worked throughout their lives, will you take away their wealth? Where is the BJP not helping the poor? The Congress party's entire approach is divide and rule. They will say a Muslim should get the first right. We say the poor person must get a first right without it being seen whether the person is Muslim, Hindu, Christian, Buddhist, Parsi, Jew. Not one scheme of Prime Minister Modi's government makes a distinction between citizens of India on the basis of religion. Government schemes help the needy. They have been helping the needy over the 10 years. The Congress thing is about dividing and ruling. This was another attempt to divide society on socio-economic basis. And obviously, the BJP stands with the Constitution, and as the Prime Minister has raised it in his speeches, this is about taking away from one and creating inequality in a different sense. Can you do nyay for one by doing anyay to another? Can you do justice
then
for
comes
one by
in,
being
and
unjust
then
to
comes in
another?
so close to the face to Sam Pitroda with his comments as well. Appreciate you joining us, Mr. Nalin Kohli, as the BJP spokesperson, and I want the viewer to now listen in to what has Sam Pitroda said, because in this whole wealth distribution or wealth survey, so to say, as per the Congress party, there is an inheritance wealth tax in USA apparently that Sam Pitroda, who's the chairperson, he's heading the Indian Overseas Congress, has to say. Is this going to be now the next big highlight? Is it a self-goal, or could this put the matter to clarity? Listen in.
Nothing wrong in being rich, nothing wrong in accumulating wealth, but to what point? Let me tell you, in America, there is an inheritance tax. So if, let's say, one has $100 million worth of wealth, and when he dies, he can only transfer probably 45% to his children. 55% is grabbed by government. Now, that's an interesting law. It says, you in your generation made wealth. You are leaving now. You must leave your wealth for public.